This is the Action Coach Bolton Business Extra podcast. Every week we're going to be talking to a different business owner about their journey in business, the successes they've had, the mistakes they've made along the way, and what advice they've got for other business owners wherever you happen to be on your journey. In this latest edition of the Business Extra podcast, we're joined by Matt and Julie Lavery of Orb Rope Access. And they're going to share with us their journey from Matt being a serving member of the Royal Marines to having one of the most unusual professions that we've come across to date on Business Extra. Welcome to the podcast, Julie and Matt.
Thank you.
Are you doing all right?
Yeah, I'm very well, thanks, Matt. Hope you two are doing okay as well. The podcast and the video are to promote your business and to see if we can help some other business owners out along the way. So why don't we start by you telling us a little bit about your business, about Orb Rope Access and how you got started.
So we've been working as Orb for the past 5 years. Matt's been working as a rope access technician for 15 to 16 years now. Prior to that, he was in the Royal Marines. So we did 10 years in the Royal Marines, and he was just never going to get a normal job when he left. So he trained as an IRATA technician. And after 10 years of experience and traveling the world, we kind of came to the conclusion that actually, this might be something that we can take forward as our own business. I had a background from the Royal Bank of Scotland and a business and commercial and corporate background. So we thought that we should join forces together in our own little business venture. And that's what we've done. So it's been about 5 years now since we've been Orb.
Brilliant. So what was it really that prompted you to go into business for yourselves then? Matt, particularly for you, after working for somebody else?
Well, rope access is such a random thing to do, really. It's not a normal job, as Julie said. It's not the scaffolding, or it's obviously not an office-based job. And we end up working with such a broad range of clients. And for other companies, I was working on all sorts of things, from football stadiums, office blocks, bridges. It could be all sorts of things. And then usually, you get asked, could you do this? Could you do that? And you end up on site with another group of guys kind of banging your heads together and kind of going, right, how do we make this work? And then off the back of that, probably as most businesses, you think, well, it's us that have got the actual relationship with the client. We're the ones doing all the graft, and we're the intermediate from the client to the office. And we've always, got on with the client really well. So, and then the client asks you, could you do this? Could you do that? And we were at the time we were kind of going, we could do this better ourselves. And you don't know unless you try. So we tried.
I think that's when I talk to other business owners, one of the biggest things they always tell me is, we can do this better than they can. So let's have a go. Fed up of making money for somebody else, let's make money for ourselves and do a better job along the way. Yeah. So it's been 5 years now. What have been the biggest challenges for you along the way then?
Wow. I guess there's been a few. Right at the beginning, obviously, we had the ambitions to have the business for us both. But it obviously wasn't financially viable for it to fund us both and our family. We've got 2 children. So for the first few years, Matt was kind of doing everything, doing the business, doing the networking, doing the physical jobs, meeting with the clients. And I had a range of part-time jobs. So I was then able to kind of do the behind the scenes things, kind of when the children had gone to bed, et cetera, et cetera. So that was a challenge, but we obviously, we got through it, and it became viable for me to come on full time in October 19, which was fantastic, So it was a challenge while we were doing it. There was some very late nights, I couldn't speak to clients at 10 o'clock at night when I wanted to. So it was kind of trying to work through that. I'd say that was one of the biggest challenges. And then obviously the past 12 months have been interesting as well. And that's challenges that everybody's been facing as well.
Yeah. I mean, we can't ignore the fact that we've had a pandemic for the last 12 months. We'll talk about that a little bit more. So time really is one of those challenges that every business owner that I've met when they first go into business for themselves. You work for somebody else and then you go into business for yourself. And not only do you have to carry on doing what you were doing before for somebody else, you've got to carry on doing that full time, but then you've also got this thing called a business that you've got to start running as well. So you've got marketing and sales and finance and systems and team and all the other things that go around that as well. So yeah, you're not alone there. It's a challenge for a lot of business owners. Let's talk about the pandemic then. It's been just over 12 months now. I mean, we first met just 12 months ago at my last live event. What's been the greatest impact of COVID-19 on your business?
Well, when it initially hit, we were on a project down in London at Canary Wharf on the Barclays building, and there was rumours of COVID around Europe, and we'd been skiing and we'd just come back, and there was rumours we were not far from the Italian border, and there was rumours of COVID being in Italy, and we were, probably 30, 40 miles away from Italy. So we were like, oh, we were lucky it didn't get us. So we came back and there was, rumour mill going crazy. And then we were at Canary Wharf, like I said, and something happened at the HSBC building that we could see. They evacuated 2 or 3 floors because of COVID. But the only way to go in and out of Canary Wharf as a commuter was this kind of subterranean, undergroundy thing that goes over to the London Light Railway. And we were thinking, we were all sat there chatting, well, if it spreads as easily as they're saying, the worst thing to do is get in a tunnel with 1 million people and spread it through London. Yeah. And within 2 weeks of that, I think it was, it just went lockdown. And we were all like, whoa, this is real. Yeah. So we were unsure for probably 2-3 weeks where we didn't have anything because all the clients just went, no, nothing's happening, everything's stopped. Yeah. So we were kind of like, right, what happens now?
I think that was quite challenging when the announcement came on that Monday. I think it'd be a night I never forget where I think everybody was just a little bit in shock. And then we started getting messages from MDs of the sites that we were on, that we'd been on that day, and they were saying, right, the site's shut. And we were like, what about, what's that now? Like, we had to get on there, we had jobs to do. What did eventually pan out with one of the particular jobs that they stopped that day was that we were doing a safety project. And after a couple of days of kind of figuring out what we could and couldn't do, we were able to then go back on that site and finish it. And that was something really that's kept us going throughout the especially lockdown one, was that, the stuff we do is for safety, it looks all so great that we're abseiling off buildings and it looks amazing and, very challenging, but the work we're doing is safety work. And so if we weren't on site completing what we were doing, that would be extra challenges for the NHS. There'd be all sorts of issues going on, et cetera, et cetera. So slowly but surely, as the weeks passed, we were able to kind of speak to clients, gauge how they felt about it, and to be able to move forward. I mean, ultimately, we're on the top of the building. They are 2 meters apart. We're not going to meet anybody where we're going. So as long as the teams are following the COVID rules and what's expected, we were able to slowly continue. But it was a bit of a shock, as it was for everyone right at the beginning.
Some jobs that we had that were definite 100% going ahead didn't happen. And then some stuff completely out of the blue turned up. So we weren't kind of full pelt with 2-3 teams out all the time. We strung the jobs out, so we had continuous work for a few guys, rather than trying to get it all in and have simultaneous jobs running, which worked out quite well. But it was a challenge with some of the public areas that we use or we work around and in. We were like, well, there's no one around. We can get this job done now. Instead of doing it at night, which is a cost implication and all the rest of it, we can do it in the day now because there's no one here. And so that helped some clients, but sometimes the person that we had to get hold of, they weren't on site because they're furloughed. So, I mean, I think everyone's in the same boat lately, and now everything's started to slowly move back to normality. Everybody wants everything done last week.
Yeah, we found that as well. Yeah, lastminute.com, and we want it done before we get back to the office and all that kind of stuff that's going on now, when they could have had it done while nobody was in the office, of course. And of course, with 2 children as well, that presents its own challenges with the schools being closed.
Oh, yes. So
who was the teacher?
I was the teacher. We had a discussion about it, which didn't last very long, that I would teach children.
Yeah, well, I suppose, Julie, how good are you at swinging around on ropes?
Well, that's
the question.
true. That's true. I'm brilliant now at like bus stop divisions, so that's fantastic. That's a new skill I've learned. So yeah, I furloughed myself, or we furloughed me in April to homeschool and look after the children.
Yeah.
It was a bit like going back to when we first started. Like Matt then had to do everything because I was unable to contribute from that respect. So a bit of networking, going on site, doing the quotes. You know, things had slowed down, so that wasn't too bad. I think what we found when I came back in September, obviously part of my role is to work on the business and progress the business with all the different elements, like say marketing and the finance and all that kind of stuff. That didn't happen during that time, but we kept working. We had the clients. That was great. So, you know, that was one of the main challenges, that we haven't been working on the business within those 6 months. We were just being a little bit more reactive. So I've come back now to try and pick that up and build that up over the past 6 months now as well.
Yeah, yeah. So what 1 or 2 actions have you taken during the pandemic that have made a real difference then, and how are they working now?
We took a little bit more. I mean, we're on social media anyway. We're on LinkedIn and Instagram and, you know, the usual bits and bobs. But we've found that LinkedIn has been quite good. We've had quite a bit of work through there, or referrals, or we've just got to contact people. And it's been a bit of a chance. So if I went into a new client and maybe a potential client, usually, unless they've used rope access in the past, they don't know what it is. They've never heard of it. And as soon as you say I swing around on a rope, it's instantly dangerous and instant death. So it's trying to speak to that person one-to-one and explain, you know, I've been doing it for a long time. It's not a new thing. And it's rope access in various forms has been around for hundreds of years. Not in its new safe form as it is for the past 20 odd years, but it's a thing, and we can do a lot of things. Because again, if they have used rope access, a lot of the time facilities managers just label you as window cleaner, and it's like, we can clean windows. It's not what we're here for, but we usually do a job and then we might clean the building after. But people just automatically say window cleaner, and when they see that we do all sorts, you know, concrete repairs, glazing installation, you know, there's 1,000,001 things that we can do. So I've gone on LinkedIn and I'm trying to do a bit of a history thing. So loads of people see it, you know, LinkedIn out. Sometimes it might get 1 like, but it's the post that gets you some more work. It might get 300 likes and you don't get anything from it. So it's totally random, but I've been trying to put a bit of a history thing together to say, you know, rope, if we didn't have rope, we wouldn't be anywhere close to where we are now as a nation.
It's trying to educate people about it as well. You know, people who, if they understand it and they trust how you're doing something, you know, people see scaffolding and cherry pickers day in, day out. They're usually walking into them in the streets, you know, it's always there. Whereas you don't walk around looking up into to the tops of the building to see what's there. So it's very much an education piece. I think when I came back from furlough to support with the whole encouraging social media, I did some training on LinkedIn, and it quite honestly blew my mind, like how the algorithms and how you post and how it works and what it reacts to. I mean, that was absolutely fascinating. I would, you know, recommend anybody who does use LinkedIn and haven't had a conversation with like an expert about it to do that, because it's really changes the way that we've started posting and what we've been posting and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we run LinkedIn workshops, you know, from time to time, and the people who come on those are like yourself, are always amazed by the things that they can do to really make a difference to LinkedIn. But marketing in general is all about education and about communication. It's not necessarily about selling, which is what a lot of people try to do. And it's particularly with such a niche sort of service that you guys provide, there's always loads of great content for you to put out there. And I've been really enjoying reading and looking at some of the stuff that you've been putting out there. It's been brilliant, I have to say. Really good. Let's just talk briefly then, Matt. You've touched on one or two areas that you get involved with. Give us your top five most unusual jobs that you've done.
Ooh, unusual. Christmas decorations are a bit of a random one. Sometimes they're really easy and nice, and they're quite effective. And then some places, some of the things that the client wants is just the bonkers. I've ended up putting a long time ago. I don't know if you know the Trafford Centre at Manchester.
Yeah.
Have a big Father Christmas with a big waving hand on it.
Yeah.
That is just a pain in the backside to sort out. That's how we get it up there.
Where's your Christmas spirit, Matt?
That goes up. It's not there then. We have done a lot of heritage stuff in lockdown. We've been fortunate enough to start working at Liverpool Cathedral, the Anglican Cathedral, which is a fantastic building to work on. And previous to that, we'd done churches and a couple of, castle type things and various stuff. But since working at the cathedral, we've got involved with a few architects that have realised the potential of rope access. And we're doing all sorts of historic churches and bridges and all sorts of stuff. And that's really interesting because I'm learning. I like the history side of stuff.
Yeah. What's your favourite thing to do?
Favourite job on rope access is, it's the churches, it's the heritage stuff. We were one church, we were looking at specifics on this church, and I was with the architect who's an archaeologist as well, a building archaeologist, because they don't know half of what's gone on with the building. It's been there nearly 1,000 years, I think. So he's digging bits out and he's coming up with things going, that's 600 years old, that's 800 years old. And they can tell with the different types of stone and mortar and all this stuff. And it's just like, we've lost that. And then it surprises me that a building that's been there, potentially, they don't really know anything from 800 to 1,000 years. And then we go to a brand new build somewhere and it's dropping apart. Not even 5 years old. But the architect's got an award. You're like, for what? But yeah, we get to see the broad range of things. I do like bridges. Bridges are probably one of my favourite things.
It must be just every day is a school day. You just learn, you just different types of buildings, different types of projects every day, all day.
Yeah.
It must be absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. You've obviously made some adjustments during COVID. What adjustments are you going to keep on doing as we start to come out of lockdown?
I think we're kind of discussing it, and there's not much that we won't carry. Everything that we did in lockdown would probably either ramp it up or the social media thing, I think, is good.
Yeah, I think that's the key. I think because we were talking about we split it kind of between the stuff I do and the stuff that Matt does. And from Matt's perspective, when he's on site, he's doing the quotes, he's doing the job. Bar following the COVID rules, which everybody's doing, that was still the same. Nothing particularly changed. I think it's more about how we run the business. So the LinkedIn stuff and the Instagram stuff, the marketing thing will absolutely continue with that. And I think it'll be around, dare I say it, as much as I'm not the biggest fan of Zoom, what it's enabled us to do is more networking via Zoom and kind of more one-to-ones with people maybe that I wouldn't have had the opportunity to talk to, because you've not got the travelling time, and that makes a huge difference. So I think continuing with some of that, although I'm now going to totally contradict myself and say that's what I'm really missing, the one-to-ones, like face-to-face and seeing people. So it is a bit of a contradiction, but it's trying to get that happy medium right for the business. And so I think that'll be the main things that we keep going.
And are we going to see some more videos on LinkedIn as well? Maybe sort of when you're halfway up or halfway down?
Yeah, it's one of the. It's the education thing again. And when we're doing whatever we're doing. It's hard to go, we're drilling, putting a new piece on that or whatever it could be, to stop halfway through that and go, hey, I've got, this is what we're doing. Because it's sometimes a bit of a pain. It's just not practical to do that.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things. It's the education thing again, because trying to explain to a potential client that we're dangling off a rope and they look at it and go, What's that? And you go, well, it's nearly got, you could hang nearly 2.5, 3 tons off these things. And that's minimum before they start disappearing. And we've got 2 of them, and I'm the only thing hanging off it. So a lot of the time, the weakest part of the whole system is the building that we're going off.
Yeah.
It's like, and trying to tell people, that they either don't listen or they don't believe you. But then when they see the potential return, they haven't had to barrier off a whole street. We're in and out. We haven't got things hanging off the building. We're not there overnight.
Yeah.
Everything we've got is all man-packable, so it all disappears at night. And yeah, we turn up in a couple of vans, all the kit's there, we do the job, we disappear again. And they go, oh, right. That it? And you go, oh, yeah, we've done it. And you take a lot of photographs or a video or, whatever the client wants, and prove what we've done. And then they go, oh, could you do this? And then before you know it, the biggest question we get is, while you're up there, can you just?
Yeah.
Here we go. Here we do.
Yeah, we can do that. Just give us a new purchase order for X amount and away we go.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Look, obviously health and safety is absolutely paramount in what you do. But I want to talk about mistakes now, not in terms of the practical dangling off buildings side of it, but mistakes in business. It's been, when I talk to business owners and entrepreneurs, the most successful ones, when I ask them what makes them as successful as they are, quite often they'll say it's simply because they've made more mistakes than anybody else and they've learnt from them along the way. And it's been said that smart people learn from the mistakes, that wise people learn from the mistakes of others. And I know we have a lot of wise people who listen to this podcast. So can you tell us about mistakes that you've made in business along the way and how other business owners might be able to learn from your experience?
Yeah, we were having a discussion about this, weren't we? And loads of different things came up, and we were saying it wasn't necessarily a mistake, but maybe we were just a bit naive, or once a situation had happened, you'd think, oh, actually, we shouldn't have done it that way. We should have done something else, but maybe not have been a mistake. I think the biggest thing that we both said, which again was right at the very beginning when we were starting the business, is we didn't have any payment terms set up. We naively went into this thinking, well, if we do a job, somebody will pay us. Because that's what we would have done. Somebody does me a job and I'm going to pay them. So that was an interesting lesson learnt. And it wasn't all the clients, obviously. A lot of clients did pay. There was just 1 or 2, and it just becomes really challenging. I think another thing that absolutely you need to consider, as everybody would know now, is cash flow. And if you're not getting your invoices in, you're not getting your cash flow, and you could have all the jobs in the world and so many invoices due to be paid, but without the cash flow, you've got nothing. And that was a really big lesson learned, to ensure that you've got the cash flow. It don't matter what all the pieces of paper say, you've still got to physically have that money. Yeah,
I couldn't agree with you more, Julie. There's an old adage, and you'll have heard it, revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, but cash is king or queen.
Yeah.
So it's all about getting the cash in. And you're not alone in not having payment terms or thinking, oh, well, everybody's going to pay on 30 days because that's what it says on the invoice, and, then having to put a system into place to chase that money as well is really important. Just getting your invoices out is a challenge for some clients. We go and talk to some clients and we ask them, well, when do you invoice for the jobs? Oh, we do it at the end of the week or the end of the month. When they've, so they're giving their clients a lending facility. Absolutely. And it's not the bank of Julie and Matt, is it?
Yeah.
Or it shouldn't be.
Yeah, no, totally agree. Yeah, that was one of the things I was doing, late at night when the little ones were in bed, was sending out those invoices, because I kind of knew that they had to be done, but it was still waiting for that reaction from the client as to whether you were going to get it, the funds in or not.
Absolutely. Let's look forward a little bit. The light at the end of the tunnel is definitely switched on and it's getting brighter every day. I had my first jab yesterday. I've got a bit of an achy arm this morning. I've got my second one at the start of June. So by the time the pubs completely reopen and on the 21st of June, I'll be getting drunk and hugging everybody. What are you guys looking forward to most after lockdown?
I think probably a holiday. I mean, we don't really go on. We try and go skiing. That's probably our big holiday. And then just going to the lakes, getting out and about and doing something without, you can't go near them. You can't do that. the kids are going absolutely mental. They just want to go away to the lakes or wherever and just get out and run around and do what they do. Just that release of a holiday, probably.
I think from a business perspective, I think obviously we're following the COVID rules. Matt's been out on site, he's been going to all the jobs, etc., and we made that decision very early on that whereas we usually would kind of both go on site, he'd go somewhere, I'd go somewhere, we've tried to keep it just to one person going out, so we're doing our bit, not to kind of spread as such. So from my perspective, it'd be actually going on a site, so that'd be quite nice. Quite like to see what the teams are doing and see the clients and talk to the clients and get feedback from clients, which is absolutely what Matt's been doing. But it'd be nice to get back. There was one point during peak lockdown where he came in with a smile on his face and he'd actually had the joy of going to B&Q, and at that point I was really jealous. I was like, I never want to go to B&Q, and I was so jealous that he'd been able to go out and do something like that. I was like heartbroken. But to get out and kind of join in with the business from that perspective is something that I'm really looking forward to doing.
I went skiing for the first time about, I think it was 8 years ago, and it popped up on my Facebook memories this morning.
Oh no.
From March that year, and I'm just sat there looking at Avoriaz and all these beautiful views and all that beautiful snow, going, oh, I really want to be there, not here. Really want to be there. So next year we'll be off skiing again, definitely. There's been a lot of inspiring people and situations that have occurred over the last year. What inspires you two most today?
Julie said I used to be in the Marines for 10 years, and I left the Marines with, I've done that next chapter kind of thing, and then I started doing the rope access with a little bit of going into the offshore world. So I worked on the oil rigs quite a lot when I first left the forces, and it was quite forces heavy. The workforce was a lot of ex-forces lads, and then I came out of that. The working away on an oil rig is like being on a ship that doesn't go anywhere, with a lot of very moody people on there. And I was like, this is not for me. I don't like it at all. The money's okay, but it's not all about that. So anyway, I started working onshore more. And then a bit of a distance, apart from, the few handful of guys that I've kept in contact with. And since lockdown, because I'm going back on social media a little bit with the LinkedIn and various other bits, it's reconnecting with the ex-forces community. And a lot of the ex-forces lads, I was quite fortunate. I came straight out of the forces, straight into work. But it's not that simple for a lot of guys. And knowing about the ex-forces community, and everyone's got their own little, we're the best, all that kind of stuff, bit of rivalry and all that good stuff. The Marines, a close-knit community, and the Army and the Navy and the Air Force and all these different elements. But as a whole, the ex-forces community is a really good community. And there's a hell of a lot of guys and girls out there. And a lot of them, when they come out, they haven't got a choice. They have to do it themselves. There's no support network. You'd think there would be, but there isn't that good of a support network when you first leave. As soon as you sign the piece of paper, that's you. Don't want anything to do with it again. So they've had to pick themselves up and get back on it. And a lot of them have started their own business, whether it could be anything, some of them a little bit linked to the past career in the military, or just something totally random. But with the forces mentality, especially in the Marines, obviously I'm a bit biased, but it's, if you put effort in, you'll get something back again. It's not always easy. The morals and the ethos and all that from the Marines about the honesty and all that stuff. If you say to a guy that you're going to be there at 9 o'clock, you're there at 5 to 9 with all the right gear on, ready to go. Not going, I'm a bit late, or my bus was late. Not interested. Get there for that time. I found that with the ex-forces guys has been fantastic. And I have maybe 6 or 7 ex-military lads, got some ex-Marines on there, we've got some ex-paras on there, unfortunately. But, we've got a good group of guys. I'm not saying that there's not good non-ex-military guys out there, but you just know what you're going to get. You've got a basic. You've got all the basics in the right place, and you've got something to work with. And I found that through the ex-military side, whether it's a florist, an ex-military florist, or someone in a similar industry to me, they all have the same ideas and the same drive, it seems, behind them. I found that through the ex-military world and LinkedIn and stuff, that everyone's kind of going, not as easy as what you think.
Yeah, really important, really important. How many people do you have working with you now, Matt?
Today we've got 3 on site today, and then hopefully by the end of probably the next couple of weeks, we'll have 2 or 3 teams out of 4 and 5. So we've got an order book, massive. It's just waiting for those people to come back into work and press the button, which, like we said before, in the next couple of weeks, they're going to go, get it done now. And we're going to go.
Yeah. And are all your guys, and possibly girls, I don't know, are they subcontracted, or are they actually employed by Orb Rope Access?
Yeah, so the subcontractors, the industry very much works on subcontracting individuals to work for you. A lot of them will spend a couple of weeks or a couple of months, however long, offshore, and then come back onshore. And we have the same pool of lads that we use in our team that'll work for us when they're onshore.
Great. A couple of quick questions to finish off. First one is this: what have you learnt about yourselves over the last few months?
I'm not very good at working from home on my own. I need to talk to people. I need human interaction other than on a computer screen, definitely.
Or with your children.
Yeah, I don't like children.
How about you, Matt?
It's confirmed that I don't like computers. I hate computers.
I think things for you have continued, haven't they? It's been the same. It's
been similar.
Yeah.
I've had to learn to be a little bit more patient, I suppose, because you send an email and you have to wait a week, maybe 2 weeks, rather than going, what are we doing it? What are we doing? How are we doing it? That kind of thing. So everything, I think the whole world has just slowed down, and that can be a bit frustrating.
It can be a good thing as well.
Yeah, it can be a good thing.
In certain ways, that could be good.
Yeah.
It's nice to take a breath and take a step back and just reevaluate every now and again. Finally then, if you had one piece of advice for another business owner, what would that be?
Keep at it, I think. Don't if it doesn't work, it doesn't mean it isn't working. You've just got to keep doing what you do and not look at others and kind of go, oh, they're doing this, we better do that. Just do what you're doing.
Yeah, I think in the world of social media, I mean, we've said this throughout, we've upped our game on LinkedIn and social media, as everyone else has. And it doesn't matter whether it's LinkedIn or just your private life on Facebook. Your natural thing is to then begin to compare. And you're like, oh, what are our competitors doing? What are they doing? This is what we should be doing. But I think the key is that's a split-second snapshot of a photo or a comment. That's not the reality of what the situation is. So absolutely like it, comment, etc., but it's absolutely not comparing yourself, and staying true to yourself and doing what you want to do and moving your projects forward and your ideas forward. Definitely.
Brilliant. Listen, it's been a real pleasure talking to both of you. If people want to find out more about Orb Rope Access, or they have something that they think you might be able to get involved with, how do they find out more about your business? How do they get in contact with you both?
Yep, so we've got a website, orbropeaccess.com, and there's a contact form on there. It's also got our phone numbers and email addresses on there as well. We're both on LinkedIn, and we've got a LinkedIn business page, and we've also got a page on Instagram as well, Orb Rope Access, to find it on Instagram as well.
Fantastic. We'll make sure those links go on to the descriptions for the podcast so people can just click through from there.
Fantastic.
Julie and Matt Lavery, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. I've learnt loads.
Lovely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is Action Coach Bolton's Business Extra podcast. We'll see you all next time.